heavy.
Bored.
I say that I have yet to finish it.
I guess there was something online I kept seeing this week of people posting the statistics for book sales for last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it is pretty fucking dire. Regardless of genre, regardless of popularity, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty, wow, it's sad.
Well,
We're literally overseeing the collapse of the industry. That's what finds it so crazy to me. All these people insisting they love books, insisting they love this stuff, and then they're just like presiding over the collapse of literacy and the actual publishing industry to irrelevancy. Nobody cares what the latest hot book is. Nobody gives a shit who the latest author is. Like, it's cultural irrelevancy. And then you see it just kind of compound. Like, nobody is,
That's
like, even
thing,
the bestsellers.
There are still those that care. I have this friend that I was talking to her.
I just mean they don't care enough
like,
to buy the books. It's just small niche community.
There are these communities, but I guess,
friend, yeah. Our listeners,
I mean,
maybe.
well, I even think like my sister, like, who,
educated,
reads far more in a month than I probably do in 2. And she'll like,
educated professional. Yeah, she's educated professional. Just
and she will still like, be like, all right, I'll read the Pulitzer, like,
right, yeah,
and she reads a lot. But I talk to people about it, and while they still like rely on these things, or they'll like hear someone talk about like a new author on a podcast or whatever it is, and like, it was funny. I was talking to my one friend, and she was just like, "Man, I'm just so disappointed. Like, I had to, I don't know. I finished this book, and like, and she's like been raving about it for like in a bad way,
right,
like for the last couple of weeks. That she's just so mad about this book. But
I guess we shouldn't say what the book is.
I mean, I don't even remember what it was
right,
called.
Yeah. We don't want to spread unnecessary.
No, yeah. I mean, it sounded like it was just a situation where there was a lot of telling and not showing, and it was very kind of, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I've talked to a couple people about that where they're just like, yeah, I just don't. It's the struggle to sift through everything, right? You're going to get 800 million recommendations of whatever hot new book someone is pushing somewhere, whether it's like because they had that connection and it was a friend, or it was, just something that is closer to their personal interest, and that's fine. But it's really hard, I think, for a lot of people to find.
There's more than ever, right? I saw it was a viral tweet a couple months ago, but I thought it captured something that was very accurate about almost every industry right now, where it just said everything is more popular and more niche than ever, like simultaneously. And it's a very weird dynamic that like we've managed to create for ourselves, that like things can be super popular while at the same time having like half the population have no idea what it is, like type thing.
Yeah.
Books fall into that. They're kind of way down on
but
the
it's such,
list.
Yeah, I mean, it's already such a small community, I think.
And they keep narrowing it further.
I don't know.
Entire genres
like a lot of
neglected.
fucking people read. Maybe it's just because, maybe I just feel that way because everyone in my immediate sphere reads.
Same, but I think that makes it so that we're not seeing the larger picture because we are so, we're come out of a certain type of class or whatever. We're educated to a certain level. We actually have degrees in reading books. So, I mean, it's like we're a certain type of person.
But even people who don't, I think some people like grow into reading.
Sure. I think people
like
mature.
I think, and it might not be like someone who's like reading novels. It might just be like, a mom who's like really into reading Nicholas Sparks, and like, that's fine.
Well, that's
fine too.
This is why I always try to get at when we talk to authors about the industry, because it is this kind of, you market yourself. The big presses do not market your books anymore. They have shrugged off that responsibility, and then they shrug their shoulders when the sales are low and they make no money and lose money on the book or the investment. Think of like the genres that are being absolutely completely neglected right now. There are just only a few genres that you can even publish books in.
What do you mean?
Mostly you can get if you walk into a bookstore, any bookstore, even like
You
the
mean
major
in
chains.
like fiction or?
I mean all of it. So even in like, there's a couple options of fiction. There's only a few options where you can get this kind of second, third gen immigrant story. That's literally all that's published, or, you know, a few other, but like the entire genres are just being neglected from this area. Then you could get political nonfiction is basically the only nonfiction you're allowed to get published, or they'll bother publishing because they think that's what sells, and that's what's sold for the last couple years. But even now, if you look at the numbers, like that is going down. All these types of like there's just, and not just that, you talk about the political polarization. So like most of publishing seems that they only care about marketing to one half of the country, one half of the audience. And then they're just completely neglecting, actually actively shunning the other half of the audience that they could get for book sales. So again, sales don't seem to matter to these companies anymore. They seem to be prioritizing something else. You guys can take a wild guess as to what you think that is. You know, they seem to be prioritizing things other than publishing books for people to buy. They're publishing books to what they think is changing the world. That's one of the issues with it. But it's also like, you know, we're becoming more illiterate. Like literacy rates peaked in the 60s in this country and have gone down ever since. So we have an illiterate country that, I mean, you've seen this in classrooms, dude. I have college students at community college levels, like they cannot read and write. Like they cannot read and write. Like it's impossible for them. But somehow they're sitting in a college 101 English class, you know, like somehow they're sitting here. And it's like, okay. And I get they're not marketing to that demographic, sure, you know, the illiterate, but like these used to be cool. Like it used to be cool to have read the latest hot book and know about it and talk about it. You know what I mean? And, you know, John Waters has made this argument, you know, 2 decades ago and shit like that. Plenty of people. But there is this cultural irrelevancy around books, novels, poetry has been going on even longer than novels, but like it's incredible. And I've been going on a Harold Bloom kick recently, as I always do, because this is a Harold Bloom podcast. I've just been watching a lot of his YouTube interviews, a lot of like his essays, and he was saying all of this in the 80s and 90s, and it's only been proven correct in terms of what we're dealing with now.
The thing is, like, I can't help but feel like there's a lot out there that I would really enjoy, like whether or not it's like,
I mean, I buy
great.
the ones that are hyped. Like I just bought Otessa Masagu's, whatever her big novel, you know, My Year of Rest and Relaxation or whatever it is. I just bought hers. It's sitting on my stack of to read. I'm about to pick it up in a couple weeks here, depending on our reading schedule and, you know, everything else going on. But like I have it on there. You know, I'm interested. Like I'm interested to participate in the cultural, you know, milieu of novels and publishing and poetry and who's writing what and what's good, what's terrible, who's publishing it, you know. That's what this whole podcast is about. Like,
I'd read that.
You and I do that. Yeah, let's add it to the list because I have it sitting here. Why not? We'll read it for the podcast. Listeners can tell us if they want us to read Otessa. I hear she's good. I've read interviews with her.
I don't even fucking know anything about her. Like, see, I feel like I'm so out of the loop on fiction too, and I only hear about like the Pulitzer winner and, you know, every other.
What's what I mean? Everything
week,
you're
my
interested.
sister's texting me about like some book that she just read, or like some Sally Rooney shit, or you know.
Well, even I get that too with both genres. Like friends will text me, or people will send me stuff. I've never fucking heard of it, like kind of thing.
Well, and that
you
it
and me,
pumps you up. Like,
yeah.
also,
well, you and
like,
me are people that actually follow the field too. Like, you know, our social media followings and like stuff like that, things we follow are customized to the things we're interested in, you know. So we follow book stuff, we follow publishers, we follow magazines, and you know, it's just we're still out of the loop because everything is more niche and more popular than ever for some. It's this crazy fucking thing. I don't know how it happened.
I don't know. It's just there's so much. It's so hard to sift through.
There's so much, but so much of it is. I mean, I get it, you know. So like, if you're writing,
it's not
YA,
all going to be great. There are going to be some stinkers.
Resources, American resources.
Being bored,
some activities are intentional, right?
it shows such a lack of gratitude. attitudes for life. Bored. I aspire to boredom, I should say.
Bored. Heavy.
I am heavy.
Bored.
Has you the night sweats and the day sweats, pal? Pal, I do.